The main thing that is stopping us from developing new and effective gene therapies is not our lack of knowledge or even our lack of good ideas. It's the fact that we can't do either of those things quickly enough. So let's take a look at how science is speeding up the process, and that's just for one single disorder. There are many other genetic disorders that could be treated this way. So how can we develop these life-saving therapies faster? Gene therapy is the idea of treating a genetic condition by getting genetic material into a patient's cells to replace or inactivate disease-causing genes. You can try delivering genes via modified viruses, but there are only so many types of viruses to choose from, and they all have limitations. They're bigger than atoms and small molecules, but way smaller than the width of a human hair. We've been using nanoparticles for gene therapy for over a decade now. We have a full course on gene therapy on a learning platform. It goes much deeper into each of these topics and has interactive quizzes to help you check your understanding along the way. The idea is to encapsulate the genetic material in the nanoparticle, then inject or otherwise deliver the nanoparticle into the body, where it will hopefully make its way into the cells. That may sound simple, but it's actually pretty tricky to design a nanoparticle that will protect the fragile genetic material, navigate the body's biological barriers, and get into the right cells without being destroyed along the way. But researchers have made some great strides recently, and now several nanoparticle-based gene therapies are in clinical trials for various disorders, including hemophilia, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and certain types of cancer. Like they might trigger an immune response, or they might integrate into the wrong part of the genome. Researchers have tried a lot of different strategies to get genetic material into cells, but a big breakthrough came when scientists figured out how to use nanoparticles to deliver DNA into cells. The first gene therapy was approved in 2019. It treats a rare genetic disorder called spinal muscular atrophy, which causes muscle weakness and atrophy. The therapy replaces the gene that causes the disease and since then has greatly improved the lives of thousands of patients. But it took more than 2 decades of research to get that therapy to market, which is a long time for people with serious conditions to wait around for treatment. Well, one major bottleneck has been the difficulty of getting genetic material into cells in the first place. Nanoparticles are tiny spheres made of molecules like lipids or polymers. Another area where researchers are making fast progress is in figuring out the best way to edit genes once you get them into the cell. Finally, scientists are also working on improving the tools themselves. One promising development is a simpler, smaller version of Cas9 that doesn't need a separate molecule to guide it to the right part of the genome. This makes it easier to deliver and reduces the risk of off-target effects. Another new tool is a gene editing molecule called prime editing. Unlike Cas9, it doesn't cut the DNA. Instead, it simply swaps out the problematic section of DNA for a healthy version, reducing the risk of harmful mutations while still allowing scientists to target very specific parts of the genome. Prime editing has worked well in cultured cells and animal models, but it's too new to have any real-world applications yet. It's exciting to see all of these advances made in such a short amount of time. Who knows what the next breakthroughs will be? But even if scientists solve all of these problems, there will still be one major barrier to delivering gene therapy to patients: cost. Right now, gene therapies can run up to hundreds of thousands of dollars per treatment. That's why the first gene therapies approved were for disorders with a high cost of care. But as the technology improves and becomes more widespread, we'll hopefully see prices come down and more disorders get treated. With any luck, someday there will be a time when gene therapy isn't cutting edge anymore, and it's just standard medical practice. Wouldn't that be great? So if you liked learning about all of these amazing scientific advances, but wish you had a little bit more time to really sink your teeth into the topic,